Good morning, my friends. I'm wondering, do either of you or do any of you have a brother or a sister? You do? Raise your hand, maybe. So I actually have a brother and a sister. And do you know what my sister and I liked to do a lot of when we were younger? What do you think we like to do a lot of? Davis, do you have a guess? What do you think my sister and I like to do a lot of? It's not something that I'm very proud of. What do you think, Davis? Fight? Davis is right. My sister and I used to fight a lot. And as we got older, we really liked to fight over clothes. And so sometimes my sister would like something that I had, and sometimes I would like something that my sister had. And do you know what I did that wasn't very kind and that was a little bit deceitful? Sometimes I would sneak into my sister's room when she wasn't there, and I would steal her clothes. Uh-oh. And so today, Pastor Courtney is actually going to tell us about a friend in the Bible who stole something from his brother. And do you know what he stole? He stole his blessing. So Jacob was a friend in the Bible who actually tricked his father into giving him his brother's blessing. And so that would have been a really big deal. How do you think that his brother might have felt after Jacob stole his blessing? How might he have felt? What do you think? What do you think, Clementine? He was really mad. Jacob's brother Esau was really, really mad. You're right. And so Jacob found out that Esau was so angry that Esau actually had a plan to kill him. And so what Jacob did was that he ran away. He went away from his home. And he went and he built his own family. And he was there for 20 years. And do you know what happened next? God actually told Jacob to go back home. How do you think that might have made Jacob feel? Because remember, Jacob's coming back where he's going to have to see his brother Esau. How might Jacob have felt? Right? Maybe he felt a little bit guilty for what he had done. Also, let's think about too, remember the last time that he was around his brother, he had heard that his brother had wanted to kill him. How else might he have felt? Yeah, he was really scared. But the cool part of this story is that even as Jacob journeys back and he's feeling scared and guilty, God shows up in a lot of cool ways. One way that God shows up is when God tells Jacob to go back home. Do you know what God's next words are to Jacob? God says, I want you to go home and I will be with you. Can we say that together? Can you say, I will be with you? Yeah. So Jacob knows from the very beginning that God will be with him. And so Jacob and his family, they start to journey back to Jacob's home. And Jacob's family goes a little bit in front of Jacob. And so Jacob is left to camp by himself one night. And something really interesting happens that night. Do you know what happens? Jacob actually wrestles with a man, and he wrestles with a man all night. And Jacob says says something to him that may seem a little bit goofy to us, but makes sense once we know who this man is. Jacob says, I will not let you go until you bless me. He says, I will not let you go until you bless me. Who do you think that man could have been? Who could he have been asking for a blessing from, do you think? Who do you think, Clementine? Yeah, Jacob was wrestling with God. And Jacob, actually, when he's wrestling with God, he asks God for help. He says, I will not let you go until you bless me. He asks God for help. And so that's another piece of good news that we find out, that God actually wants us to ask for help. So when we think about maybe when I took my sister's clothes when I was younger, it's really cool to remember that when I had that feeling in my belly, when I started to feel kind of guilty and kind of nervous about telling my sister and my family what I had done, what do you think? What could I have remembered? Like, what does the story of Jacob tell us? What could I have remembered? I could remember that God is with me, right? And that I can ask God for help. So when we think about things maybe that make us feel scared or nervous or something that we're a little bit afraid to take on, we can remember that God is always with us and that we can ask God for help. So when we think about maybe going back to school or starting new routines or starting new sports in the fall or new activities, the good news is that we know that God is always with us and that we can always ask God for help. So that's good news for us. And it's such a sweet thing that we can learn from Jacob's story. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and do our prayer clap, and we will say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.